Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kit Phillips. I'm from the Health and Equity Wellbeing team at the EAS. I do apologise that I'm unable to be with you in person today, but hopefully this little recording will give you a little update and some contacts that you will need if you need any additional support with this and that we can help you with. So today I focused on what we do for developing physical health and well-being. And that it has those lifelong benefits for our learners. So I'm just going to show you an overview. So this overview is of our whole school approach to well-being. This is the bread and butter of what we do, alongside our health and well-being AOLE. It is so important that our schools invest in this and have this tiered approach to well-being so that we can make sure that we're supporting our learners in every aspect, being it physical, emotional, and that mental health aspect too. So if you have a little look at the triangle, this is what our professional learning offer is, and it sits in this tiered approach. So at the bottom, we have all of our things that you would be doing throughout and across the school. So things like our adverse childhood experience training, creating an ACE-friendly school. It could be the whole school approach to emotion coaching techniques, which would then sit within your relationship policy or your positive behaviour policies. It might be embedding the rights of the child within your setting so that our children have that strong understanding of their rights and are able to talk about it, and their pupil voice skills are, good and they're able to tell us what they want and how they like their learning and what they like within their learning. We have our well checklist, which is a bit of an evaluation tool, really, which looks at all of the areas that we cover and then gives you some next steps. We have our SEAL community, so we pay SEAL to have membership of that community so that our schools can access all of the resources. And this is a really good tool for assemblies. It could be your specific lessons or just to dip in and out of, but to make sure that you're using that within the writing and the building of your curriculum for your health and wellbeing AOLE. Then we will have some PL coming now in the spring, which will focus on how we do build that curriculum, working within our schools, working within our clusters to ensure that we have that progression over 3 to 16. We also have our RSE toolkit, which sits there as well, which are lots of resources to support the relationship, sexual education side of the curriculum. Within the targeted area, we have things such as our wellbeing review that we can support with, listening to learners document. We have resources for young carers, Adoption UK, and also specific professional learning that you can give to staff for supporting your learners within interventions, mainly focusing on that emotional support. As we know, if our children are happy and healthy and safe and regulated, then they're ready to learn. So sometimes our learners will need this additional support, things like coping and connecting, reading and regulating, engaging empathy. And also for our CLAR learners, we have things such as the Story Project, which focus around literacy and emotional regulation. Mini-me yoga and mindfulness would also sit there, and across the academic year there'll be opportunities for you to engage in professional learning for that. Then at the top of our triangle, it will be that specific support when we go into schools and we support with leadership. It could be your wellbeing lead, your family and community engagement officer, and also we use our learning network schools to be able to support this and really share what it looks like within a school setting, because with health and wellbeing, I'm sure you'll agree, it is that feeling, it is that ethos, and they are able to support with that by showing you how it looks in their settings as well. Then I've just popped in some of our network meeting dates for you. I know that Chloe will share these slides with you, so you'll be able to go back and have a little look at the dates. So I won't talk through them, but specifically for you, when it comes to physical activity and physical education, the Wellbeing Network will have things within that you might be able to access. We do also have a PE network that is run by one of our NNS schools, and I will share the contacts of that at the end. But this wellbeing one is specific to, the health and wellbeing AOLE itself. and how we want that to look throughout the school and permeate through all of the curriculum areas. So those are they're always virtual, they're always recorded, and they're placed in the Teamspace then if you're not able to attend. We do also have other networks for some of our other areas, such as family and community engagement, CLAR, which is our children looked after, and then our Matt and Sarah learners as well, our more able and talented. What we talk about when we're delivering professional learning around developing your health and well-being AOLE is this question of, is it a subject area or is it a whole school consideration? And it really is both. Currently, we have that curriculum focus on health and well-being, as it is that area of learning that we need to cover. And obviously the physical activity and physical education aspect sits within there. But also it is about that whole school approach and having your whole school approach as a tiered approach so that you understand that it should permeate through all aspects of school life, and it needs to be supported by all those policies and practices. So I've just popped that in just as a bit of a taster, really, because that is how we start when we talk about developing our health and well-being AOLE. It's important that you get together, not just in subject areas, but also, as a whole curriculum team. And also, if you can, in clusters, it works so well if you are talking about how that progression is going to look across the cluster within your subject area or your curriculum area. So I've just popped that in, really, just as that, we do need to think about that. We do need to think about our whole school approach as well before we can then go on to design that curriculum area, because they are the building blocks for everything we're doing within it. These are just some questions then for you to go away with and have a consideration when it comes to creating that health and wellbeing AOLE, how it sits and where that whole school approach sits within the AOLE. So it's things like your rights of the child, your diversity, your careers, your RSE. How does that all look within your area of learning? You need to be thinking about that progression of wellbeing vocabulary and how you're going to support that emotional regulation and understanding. How can learners be supported to enjoy that lifelong physical activity? How can we give them the opportunities to be able to try out these new skills, to be able to use them on a daily basis, and to make sure that it permeates everything that they're doing, that there is a focus on it? What skills and activities could we start with? What is that progression going to look like? How is it going to support those purposes as well? Are the activities planned, meaningful and in context? Because we have to think about those activities. It can't be a tag on, it needs to be, inbuilt into everything we do. Can we use those cross-cutting themes or integral skills so that we're making sure that we're making this skill purposeful? And will it be tried in different situations and contexts? So lots of questions. And I know, it's a very short time to give you those, but I thought it would be useful for you to have them on paper so that when you are meeting within your schools and clusters, or as your network is today, you'll be able to have a think of those questions when you are thinking specifically about the AOLE and how it looks within your setting. What we've been doing is we've been developing some professional learning around the what matters statement and that progression and how that progression looks. So within lots of our, over the last 2 years, we've been meeting nationally and regionally to discuss how that progression is going to look, and lots of documents have come out from there. And what we've done is, as a team, we've started editing those so they're a little bit more usable for you on the ground. So this is just a screenshot of the Developing Physical Health Wellbeing has Lifelong Benefits statement. It's talking about that physical literacy. We have to think about the impact of nutrition. We do need to think about that connection between our physical health and our mental health. And also health and safety aspects as well. What we try to focus on is that top step, that progression 5. What are they going to look like when they're leaving us? And how are we going to put those building blocks in place to get them to that point? Within the document, then, it does look at vocabulary. And it looks at those skills and activities that you might use at those different progression steps. So it just gives you a little bit of a background, really, when you're sitting down and you're starting to design your curriculum and your activities, be it across the term or being across the academic year. But it's nearly done. and we're going to be releasing dates shortly. So they will be released within all our team spaces and networks. So you'll be able to log on and do that. We've done a few with clusters, and it's been really successful to get everybody in the room, to have our secondary teachers there who are, do have that subject specialism that we need, because we need to get our learners to that point. And then our primary practitioners there to support that building of that curriculum as well. So there were really good conversations that came out of those cluster professional learning sessions. And I do recommend, if you can do it as a cluster, then that is the way to go. One of the things we pulled out within those sessions was vocabulary. We looked specifically at emotional vocabulary, but within your specific area of physical education, it's that specialist vocabulary as well. The vocabulary in relation to movement, travel, jump, roll, balance, skip, hop, push, high, where's that going to sit in that progression step? The prepositions of over, under, on top, side, where are they going to sit? When are our learners going to need that vocabulary? When are we going to be explicitly teaching that vocabulary? Do we need to explicitly teach that vocabulary to our learners? And are we going to do it in different situations and contexts? So it's not just that emotional vocabulary need, but it is also that subject specific stuff. But I think it's a nice place to start when you're working in clusters, to think about how that vocabulary is going to look, and it'll give you a really good starting point then on how you can build up the skills and activities that go around it. This then is our contact for Aleri Jones. So Aleri is running our PE network. She is covering the physical activity, sport and wellbeing aspect, and they are one of our learning network schools. So currently the meetings are not run by us, they're run by Aleri. So I've popped her email in. And if you do want to join, please pop her an email and she'll be able to send you all the details then, so that you can get into the next one. But it isn't just specific to Chepstow School, it is across the region, so anybody can attend. They are having little network sessions, sharing ideas, links to agencies, and they do as well. They have helped us in supporting with some of the Curriculum for Wales documents and reviewing what we're doing to make sure that it's useful and purposeful for you in schools. I just thought I would pop these on as well. So we have some team spaces where we put all our information, all of our professional learning. I've put them all on there for you, but I know specifically for you, it'll be the Wellbeing and Equity team space. So when you do get the slides, copy of the slides, just hover over the little picture and it will show you a link. Click that link and I'll join you onto the team space. But within there, any of the updates, the new dates for professional learning, and always they are on our professional learning calendar as well, and they will come out in the bulletin to your head teachers. But they are a quick way of getting information to you and for you to get information from us. And obviously we do have other networks across other areas. So do feel free to share that slide when you go back to school with any of the other staff in your settings. And then I've just popped on our emails for you. So Adelaide is our Assistant Director of Health, Equity and Wellbeing. We've got Jane. Now Jane focuses very much on our RADI and our vulnerable learners. Sean focuses a lot on our more able and talented and our post-16. So if you have any questions there, or you're one of our secondaries, and Sean does have a direct link to Aleri as well. So if there's anything you need, Sean might be the person to go to if you can't get in touch with Aleri. And then I've popped mine on there as well. And I generally cover a lot of the whole school approach, and specifically now the development of the curriculum AOLE. So please get in touch. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it was useful, and there were some things for you to take away. And if you do have any questions, please email me, or ask Chloe to pass them on, but I will get that information to you. Thank you so much for listening.